Welcome to Common Man Cocktails. Today we're going to make a cocktail on a budget for $1.34. You at home can make yourself a standard classic daiquiri. Here's the recipe breakdown, and we'll give you a little bit on the pricing. The recipe I'm going to use is not a 2-1-1 classic golden ratio this time. We're going to go a little lighter on the sugar, make it a little bit more grown up. It's going to be 2 ounces of rum, 1 ounce of lime, 3/4 ounce of simple syrup, which in this case is probably even sweeter because this is a classic gum syrup. If you're making this at home, fitting the budget cocktail theme, cup of water, cup of sugar. The sugar roughly going to be about $1.25. It's going to make a bunch of cocktails with that, so it's going to come out to about 5 cents per cocktail. So 5 cents of sugar, 50 cents for a lime, 79 cents for the 2 ounces of rum you'd need, and say a $15 bottle of rum. Where would you get a $15 bottle of rum, you might ask? Total Wine has them. You can get Bacardi. It's anywhere between $13 to $18 usually. If you're in a place with high taxes, I can't help you. You should just move to another state. Obviously. We're going to use this, which I think I either got from Cancun or Punta Cana, Dominican. I don't really remember. Someplace at a duty-free store. I usually get a couple bottles, 3, 4, whatever, when I'm there. So this is a little bit bigger, but it still fits the quality and it still fits the price when you convert it to US dollars. Also, I was going to use this nice bottle of Denizens I get Total Wine, but this is $33 for the bottle. Still breaking that down per cocktail. Still cheaper than buying it at a restaurant. If you go to a restaurant, cocktail bar, a low quality bar, probably, if you could find this, leave a comment below if this exists. $10 for a daiquiri would be maybe on a Wednesday night in some place in the middle of nowhere. If you're in the city, could be anywhere from $18 to $20 for a daiquiri. If you're at a standard cocktail bar, speakeasy type thing around town, you're probably still looking at between probably $14 to maybe $12 on a good night. $14, $16 for a drink like that. And we're going to make it for $1.34. Let's make it, and then we can explain a little bit of the history if you care. 2-1-1. So we're going to do 2 ounces of our Cuban rum. This would be closer to the original if you were to have made this back in the day when the daiquiri was invented, because it fits both the origins of the drink. Small mining town, around 1890s. An American miner named Jennings Cox was living there. He was entertaining guests. I believe they were American. And he ran out of gin, which was kind of like the big thing in that time period. So he used a local rum, which could have probably been, if not exactly, Havana Club or some Havana Club variation, and subbed that in, created, they needed to make it a little bit more tart, make it a little bit more palatable for the American palate. Use some fresh lime, which was easy and accessible in Cuba. Then added a little bit of cane sugar, again, accessible in the Cuban region, and created the daiquiri, named it after the beach mining, I think it was an iron ore facility called Daiquiri, and said, hey, you gotta get a drink. And then it makes it to the United States with the mainly military moving around and bringing that kind of that flavor, going to the bars, bringing it back to the States. Hemingway loved it. Hemingway goes over to Havana, creates his Hemingway Daiquiri, which is a riff off this drink. The Hemingway Daiquiri, link down below if you care. He brought in some maraschino liqueur, which is like a distilled cherry, and grapefruit juice. Of course, because Hemingway, I believe, was a raging alcoholic, it probably has a little bit more booze flavor than this specific recipe would have. But you got to get your creativity somewhere. That was a joke. Drink responsibly. 1 ounce lime. Oh! Thankfully, summertime means our limes have plenty of super nice juices. Boom. And as per the usual, I make a mess. Gonna add some ice. Now, if I were making this for myself, I just dump the whole thing into like a glass and be like, this is great. Like an old fashioned, such as this. You know what? I'm going to do it my way. You could have chilled this, add some ice, add some water, sit it off to the side, pour your daiquiri, finish it in 3 sips, make another one. Or we'll go with the dump and pour method. Now, because I'm going to just dump and pour it, I'm just going to pack that thing full of what really turns out to be almost crushed ice because I got it from the bottom of my ice bag. We're going to shake this for about, in this case, I could do this for 10 seconds because it's such small cubes of ice. If you were using larger cubes or like the rubber silicone ice trays, whatever, might want to go 15 seconds unless it breaks up real quick. Ten seconds. My fingers are actually stuck to the tin. So, if you're shaking at home and you're like, Boston shakers scare me, I want to understand how they work. Listen to this. That's the vacuum effect. The change in temperature causes it to suction together, right? So now you're like, how do I get it off? It's so tight. If you just find where the two pieces meet, this little seal right here, like right there, over here, and you hit it right there like this, just pops right off. Give it a little thump. The other key is don't go bang and hammer together, and the seal will create, it's chemistry, science. Science happens for you. So you just have to tap it, give it a little shake to start it, and that freezing is going to cause it to suction. Then you can go crazy. We're going to dump and pour. Look at that. Oh, it's like a frozen daiquiri right there. Oh, I'm so thirsty for this. And it's only like 2 o'clock. Don't tell my boss. So there you go. That is the daiquiri. $1.25 for this. The glass costs more. Maybe. Oh, got you right here. Because here's the other thing. I only use 3/4 of an ounce of sugar instead of 1 ounce. You could probably dial this back a little bit more if you wanted to, especially if you make it super, super cold, because it's just your senses kind of dull a little bit. So it gives you an impression of more sweet than it really is. And you're going to get some of that rum taste, not a lot of ethanol burn, and then a limeade total flavor. To me, this is a limeade drink. If you ever had limeade before, like whatever brand makes it, you get a little carton. Basically, that's what this is. Except for it's got alcohol in it. So you're basically transporting the flavor of lime, the flavor of alcohol, and you're using the sugar just to make it more palatable so that your senses don't just go and get all sucked in myself. Sucked in on itself. That could be a t-shirt. So think about this. 1890s cocktail. A drink like this, you go down, they don't even know the origin stories at the bar. You order this drink, you're probably going to be pretty satisfied knowing I got a solid classic cocktail and it only cost me $14. Well, if you were to make this at home, so I did the math. Okay, I didn't. ChatGPT did the math. But a 46-ounce jar, that's about 12 servings. That entire cost is going to be $22 for the rum and all the ingredients, right? Just to be able to build that thing out. $22. That is basically like buying this drink in the middle of Boston. You could get 12 of them for you and your friends. So now you can have a social event. You could teach some people the history of cocktails. If you want to, you can then use the rum to build other things like a Cuba Libre, where you're just basically making this drink, but you take out all those ingredients, you throw in some Mexican Coke or maybe some non-high fructose corn syrup Coke here in the US. And yeah, I get it. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff about high fructose corn syrup. Here's the deal. Regardless of whether it's healthy for you or not as unhealthy as the other thing alternative is, it doesn't matter. High fructose corn syrup is sweeter, and I find that throws the balance off. So it's not a political thing or a nutrition thing you're drinking anyway. It's really the fact that you get the Mexican brand Coke with the pure cane sugar. It tends to be lighter on sweetness. That allows that sugar and then the rum with a little squeeze of lime, Cuba Libre, to just give you more of the total package instead of just super sweetness and Coca-Cola. This drink kind of works the same way. People are using sugar instead of high fructose corn syrup. I also wouldn't use agave nectar in here. Very sharp sweetness. I also wouldn't use diet sugars and artificial sweeteners because they're just so potent. And then if you bring down the sweetness because they're so potent, you end up just tasting like a diet drink, which is kind of gross. If you're drinking 2 ounces of alcohol, that's probably like already 160 calories or something. It's your cheat day. If it wasn't, it is now. Great limeade flavor. Love the taste of Havana Club. Bacardi, very similar. I think maybe I'm wrong here, but I feel like the Bacardi would give me a little bit more ethanol. Maybe not with the ice, but typically this is a better product, incrementally better, but you can't really get it in the US, so don't worry about it. Just get yourself some Bacardi if you want to and you're at home. You don't have to stick with the $15 rum. You can get yourself a $33 bottle of rum or a $50 bottle of rum. When you break it down per ounce, it's still going to be competitive, if not way better in flavor and cost than you get at a standard bar. Maybe not a pool hall, but a standard bar. So that's it. If you have any suggestions below, especially budget cocktails, because those tend to do well. People like to see how much they can actually save. Let me know. Write your comments below. Bartender starter kit below. Get yourself a bartender starter kit from awesomegrace.com. That's my store. Had one of our fans pick up a whole pile of cool stuff, including one of my common cocktail bar mats at Awesome Drinks just this week. So that's always nice. Quick shout out to Brent. Thank you for that order. That's it, my friends. We're teaching you how to drink budget-wise.